If you're on a hair growth journey, you probably know the feeling all too well. You know, that daily check-in with the mirror, hoping, just hoping to see a change, only to feel that familiar sense of disappointment. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why that daily habit is actually setting you up for frustration and what's really going on under the surface that you just can't see.
So let's be real for a second. Is this you? Leaning right into the mirror, examining your scalp from every angle, parting your hair, just searching for any tiny sign of progress? It's an incredibly common habit, but man, it can quickly turn into a really tough cycle of anxiety.
And this is the thought that almost always follows, right? That sinking feeling in your stomach that all your efforts, all your hope is for nothing. It's such a powerful, discouraging voice. And you know what? It's all fueled by a simple misunderstanding of how our hair actually grows. Okay, let's give this thing a name. We're going to call it the daily mirror trap, because that's what it is. It's this psychological loop that so many of us fall into. And just understanding how it works is the very first step to breaking free from it for good. You see, the core of the problem here is all about the time frame. You're looking for daily results from a biological process that works on a scale of weeks and, honestly, even months. This huge mismatch between your expectation and what's biologically possible, well, that's precisely why the daily check-in almost always ends in disappointment. So why is it so darn hard to see any progress? I mean, why do our own eyes seem to be working against us? This next part, this is where we get into the really fascinating biology behind it all. Let's just break this down. On the one hand, you've got what you see in the mirror every day. Basically, no change. Looks exactly the same as yesterday, right? But on the other hand, you have the biological reality. And underneath the surface, that's where the real work is happening. New growth is kicking off. But it's all happening where you can't possibly see it yet. And this brings us to the most important concept of all, microscopic growth. Think of it like a seed sprouting deep underground. There is a ton of activity, a ton of progress happening, but you're not going to see that little green sprout break the surface for a while. It's the exact same thing with your hair. The progress is absolutely real, it's just invisible for now. All right, now we're getting to the heart of it. Understanding the timeline of hair growth and shedding, this is the key. This is what unlocks real patience and finally breaks that cycle of frustration. Now here is a critical point. Seeing hair in your brush or in the shower, I know it can be alarming, but it is not a sign of current failure. That hair was actually programmed to fall out weeks, maybe even months ago. It's a delayed reaction from the past, not some real-time report on how you're doing today. This timeline lays it out perfectly. So picture this. A couple of months ago, a hair follicle got the signal, okay, time to shed. Then, for weeks, that old hair just sat there. It was resting while a brand new hair was beginning its microscopic growth phase right underneath it. Then, finally, today, that old hair lets go to make way for the new one. So this is the number I want you to burn into your brain, 8 to 12 weeks. That's the lag time. What you see falling out today is a direct reflection of what was happening in your body 2 to 3 months ago. That perspective, that is a complete game changer. Okay, so now that we actually understand the science behind this, we can build a much healthier and, frankly, a much more effective strategy for tracking our progress on this journey. I mean, it just makes sense, right? If the thing you're trying to measure can't even be seen from day to day, then your method of measuring it has to change. It's like trying to measure a whisper with a ruler. Using the wrong tool, in this case the daily mirror check, is always going to give you the wrong data and, more importantly, the wrong feeling. So here is the new game plan. Simple, 3 steps. First, you have to consciously decide to ditch that obsessive daily check. Just stop. Step 2, shift your whole perspective. Decide you're only going to check in on a weekly or maybe even a monthly basis. And third, train your mind to look for the long-term trend, the big picture over months, not those tiny, totally meaningless fluctuations from one day to the next.
So let's go back and reframe that initial negative thought. Instead of telling yourself, this isn't working, the reality is so much more empowering. The truth is, it is working. You just have to trust the process that's happening beneath the surface at that invisible, microscopic level.
And you know, that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. In a world that screams for instant results for everything,
Maybe the most powerful tool you have in your entire hair growth journey isn't a product or some new device, but simply patience. The patience to let a slow, natural, biological process just do its thing.